Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? See, I feel like every time I film this, I feel like I find a way to adjust my camera somehow. All right. Trying a new format. You can kind of see the mess that I'm cleaning up in the background, but that's not a big deal. Yeah, we'll see what it looks like with the lights off. Yeah, this is good. It's bright enough. My face only washes out a little bit. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? There we go. It's a little better. Like that. Give me some soft light. Come on. Actually, I guess we kind of don't really need all that. This is good enough, actually. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Hope everybody's been enjoying the time that we've had for can't talk. Enjoying everything that's been going on for the new changes to what's it called? 11th edition. We are post. Gotta advertise, right? We've got to advertise now. Sending out the stream. All right. See if I can send it to my phone to post it. All right. It's like, where did I put my phone? It's so dark. I heard it somewhere. There it is. All right, cool. Well, good morning, everybody. Hope we're doing great after the new stuff that got revealed for us on Wednesday. How's everybody feeling after all that? Does anybody... Hello, welcome. Welcome. How are we all feeling after the first update of 11th edition? Feeling good? Good. I'm actually enjoying it. I'm gonna be completely real. I at first really was a little bit afraid, specifically just because one of the things that changed majorly for us, Bladeguard Vet's ability, that is something I definitely want to talk about, because that's something I thought that was very strange from like the Warhammer community stuff. But let's talk about it. So, ooh, look at this. Some new miniatures just got revealed. We'll take a look at these first, and then can y'all see this? Let me see. Get that out of the way. Okay, good. We can see that. Perfect. And then the Bladeguard Vet ability, that was one that was interesting. Not specifically because they removed it. I am kind of happy that they're trying to do the -2 as a more kind of special thing for big stuff. But I found it hilarious that it was like they changed the Bladeguard Vet's ability for it. They changed the Skyweavers, which is the Harlequin bikes, and that's it. That is completely it. Like the Sorcerer in Chaos still has his -1 to hit. Stuff in I can't remember what else, but there's like a ton of Keeper of Secrets still has their -1 to hit. And so that was one that I was like, that's a little nuts that they're saying, hey, we're gonna make this last thing, and they did it in 2 places, which I think is funny. I think that's hilarious that they just didn't do it like in every place, which I just find silly. But oh my god, how do I see? We're gonna have to do. I'm learning how to promote myself, right? I'm waiting for the Desolation Squad. Hopefully, you guys had a really weird you guys had a very weird upgrade for your what's it called? Aggressors. That was the weird one. I was like, oh my god, aggressors are now actually getting strong. I'm liking it. Oh my god. Trying to share this on. Does anybody know how to share links on Instagram? Because I think that the only thing I can do is probably just send the streaming thing. Oh my god. We'll figure this out later. What we'll do, we'll just make a little selfie. You guys can be in on this selfie that we're doing We're gonna do a selfie because I am a child. How do I do this? I'm not good at the internet, guys. I'm really not good at this. I don't know why this is my job. I don't know why I chose to do this. Oh, that's a video. Oh no, I meant to take a selfie, but I did a video. Oh crap. All right, we're going live on YouTube right now, 10:30. Come and hang out. Guys, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, anyways, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna shut up now. So, new miniature. I'm liking this. This is cool. Oh, look, it's a miniature that's not chapter specific. Look at that. They learned a little bit. They're learning. I appreciate it. They understand that nobody liked that. That's cool too. A yearbook. Oh, that's super fun. Ah, nice. And then we're gonna get the infamous lament. That's cool. Very cool. I'm down for that. Okay. Very fun. Some new news coming out. Great. All right. Skipping over. No. I was like, I almost just showed y'all my Warhammer password. Nope, you guys can't have my codexes. But yeah, okay. Now to talk about what we really want to talk about, which is the fact that this has been a really great update. I mean, not like I wouldn't say that it's the greatest update ever, but it's the biggest update, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited that we've had a massive update. Like this has been a crazy big update. This is a lot more than they normally do. The chat I keep trying to put the chat in front of me so I can see it, but it's also that doing that. I'm waiting for that. Me personally, even though aggressors have gotten point decrease, blade guard vets are a little bit better, but have the same points. But the blade guard really, yeah. Like I personally like the blade guard vets more specifically because of that. Like 4-up invuln is insanely nice to have. I'm a very big fan of the 4-up invuln. I still don't think that aggressors change blade guard, right? I don't think it stops blade guard from being the overall pick for that one, but it is definitely one that is very interesting when it comes to the actual like unit set, right? How do I share this? No, I don't want to do a new reel. That's fine. That's fine. We'll do that. Anyways, yeah, that's one of those things that I thought was really interesting that they just said that they were going to change all of this for everything, and then they decided not to change it for everything, which is fine, but like it might have been a little over heavy-handed to change like every little single thing that's potentially going on with that. But I'm excited for the Overwatch and the Power Fist because with aggressors you can switch the gauntlets, right? You can switch them from flamethrowers to Power Fist or not to Power Fist, but to bolts and then plasma. They have a plasma option, I think, as well. I think the problem, and this is what somebody else brought up, so this is not my original idea. It's that apothecary that you guys get lethal hits for is just expensive, right? Where it's like you want to pay for those lethal hits. It's kind of like how when I pay for my infractors, my battle line guys, I usually pay for a Lord Exultant just specifically because it gives them lethals off the jump, right? So I'm wondering if that's a big reason why that one's just not as popular. But I do think it's funny that they changed those things, but didn't actually like really change that. They just kind of that you don't have that apothecary. That is the rough part because that they also don't sell that apothecary. I think you might want to find him on eBay is your best bet because he was in the Leviathan box and then they never sold him again, which I think is insane. So first thing I want to talk about is let's take a look at some of the rules that changed. So a lot of the rules that changed are basically the rules that stayed the same, right? So these are going to be the rules that are adding new stratagems, things like that. Stuff where it's just texting everybody. Look, this is part of the business, right? Is making sure that everybody has their notifications on because not everybody has their notifications on. So I have to text everybody when I'm live. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a big deal. But so these are the universal rule updates. It's a single page, which is nice. But this is basically some of the stuff that's talking about the stratagems, more than only using one per phase, right? Adding new units to the army. And then you can modifying a stratagem CP cost, right? The captain ability basically being not a free CP, but just a free one CP pretty much. Good things that they added right back into the game, which they needed to. And then, dude, I was like, is there really anything else in the core rules that kind of changed? Not super much. Most of it is just kind of the FAQ, right? Art most melee, 3+ weapon skill. Marines, yes. Marines, yes. Marines are usually a 3-up in most things. Most melee, it depends, right? Most guard melee starts on 5s, right? If you're doing the normal squad. If they're the Ogren where they're supposed to be stronger, like Space Marine toughness, then they normally hit on 3s just because, or I think maybe even 4s, because they're a little bit more skilled. But like 3 to 4 is a general thing with weapon skill. A lot of the times with those melee things like that, with the 3+ weapon skill, it's specifically because they're like, well, we don't really do much besides fight, or they might have like pistols where it's like shooting isn't really going to be much. You might see more plus in the weapon skill when it comes to things where it's like maybe they're a mixed unit where they can do shooting and melee, or if they're more shooting based, or even if maybe it's a faction that's just not good at melee, like Tau or Garb are really good options for that one. Yeah, if I take Blade Guard vets, they would hit at 4 or 5 up. No. So if you're talking about the Blade Guard vet like change to their ability, right? The ability isn't a -1 to them, right? Like it's not a -1 to them, it's -1 to whatever's in combat with them, right? So if you're in combat, unless somebody else has a -1 to hit on your Blade Guard vets, your Blade Guard vets are gonna hit on their 3s that they normally hit on, right? So the way that your rule is not everybody in engagement. It's just your enemy units that are in engagement with him. If they target the Blade Guard vets, it's a -1 to hit, right? Because what they were trying to do with those abilities is, like they were saying in the article, is they wanted to limit the stacking that was happening, because a lot of things were just -1 to hit, because there was no -1 to hit and cover, right? It was -1 AP. So like that was a way of making them faster, right? So like I don't know if even actually I don't know what all got hit. Let's take a look. So with that one, let's actually take an exact look at the rule. Where are you, Space Marines? Yeah, no. I was talking about that maybe on my type of the. Yo, what's up, Thorn? How's it going? Dude, good to see you, man. Welcome in. Welcome in. Oh, you know what? It goes great. I'm actually, the funny thing about you showing up, Thorn, is I was about to talk about your dastardly defiler. My God. I grieve for you, but I don't grieve for me on the fact that that 6-up is gone. That 6-up was killing me, dude. Oh my God. So Thorn was the gentleman that I played at with the first round of the RTT on not yeah, last Saturday. I'm like, man. Yeah. It's oh my God. Did they increase yours as well when they did it? Because if they did, that's insane. I know um they did that for the CSM one, and then they took away its ability as well. Which to me, I'm like, if you're gonna do both, that's crazy. But I was like, thank God, the feel no pain. I'm like, the only thing I wanted gone was the feel no pain, or just give us the feel no pain too, right? Like I want both. Yeah, the data sheet rule was rough. Let's pull that up as well. I'm gonna pull up Space Marines because they're doing something where it's like you can't see it up here, right? I can't see it in the actual like Space Marines one. I can only show it in the app, which is really annoying. Um, but it is, yeah, it's something weird about the way that like they've changed stuff too. One thing I'm not a fan of is I'm not a fan of the fact that um they are not putting these things out in the universal documents at times. They're putting these things out in the freaking app, right? So now we're gonna have that situation of, well, at this point, right? No, all the changes that they needed to happen, no, like not all of them. I'm gonna be real. Like Destroyer of Futures being changed to a what is counteroffensive? Is that an interrupt? Is that did they really change it to an interrupt? That's horrible. I didn't see exactly because the only thing I wanted was just the feel no pain. I said keep the points, whatever, feel no pain. Is counter interrupt oh my god, that's worse. That's the worst thing they could have possibly done to that. That's insane. That's actually way too far. That's really funny that like this is how you know, right? That like I that something is wrong is when I'm like, yeah, that's way too broken. That's not an army I play. That's way too broken. That's not an army. Yeah, counter. That's so stupid. That's really bad. I was fine with it, like, because what was it? It was that it overwatched on fours, like it overwatched better. Why is it not a free Overwatch? Like, yeah. So I didn't see what the Sekitar change was. Unit has stealth. Because what was the Sekitar change for that one? Over on fives, fours if it's within nine on us. Oh, interesting. It's not horrible. It's not great though either. That's such a weird, like, yeah, it does feel like a lot of like smashes, right? Same with when we were talking about the Blade Guard vets, where it's like, all right, cool, we saw Blade Guard vets, smash it, right? And then I'm sitting over here with a Keeper of Secrets going, this also has -1 to hit. Did you guys just forget about it? Or like, huh? Fours within 9 inches of psychic. That's to me is like that's a big nerf with that one. Cause like then are you gonna nerf this? Did they nerf the Steeljacks as well? Right? Because isn't that the Votan Steeljacks thing? Is that they also overwatch on fours? So to me, like it feels like they panicked really hard and then they did a massive like smash, which I will be completely real. I even had like a kind of knee jerk reaction because they changed Coterie of the Conceited from a purge the foe disposition to a priority action disposition, and you're like, so purge and the thing that I'm supposed to do with the detachment rule are too strong. I didn't think it was too strong. I'm actually finding I played a game with priority assets last night, and I'm like, oh my god, actually, this is stronger. This is much stronger. Having spawn to do actions, and I don't have to worry about guaranteeing my kills. I can just go, one, come to me, have fun. So the issue with Sec is the combo with Hex Warp to get zones of the board that buff Psychic, then one DP Psych detach that made their weapon Psychic, then they double dip the nerf there. Yeah. Because I will say, I'm going to be completely real. I was really curious in what they were thinking. They made Hex Warp 3 DP. Oh, that's weird. That's a weird one. Because, like, that was the thing I saw when I saw this. I was like, okay, this and this enhancement, right? Those are pretty rough for a psychic unit. Gaining psychic where you can't have anything be negated by the Sekitar robots, at least like robots. That's tough. That's really hard. Like, because what are they normally hitting on? Threes, so they're hitting on twos now. That is really tough. But it's one of those things where it's like, I think fooling with the detachment points is an abysmal idea so early in 11th. That should be the last. Yeah, I do. Oh, it's only fours baseline for sec. Okay. That makes it a lot better where it's not as crazy, but still psychic is tough. I think the problem isn't like the army, right? It's not the Sekitar robots. I think that they unleashed psychic because they were sick of hearing that psychic doesn't do anything. And now they're like, we didn't think about this. We didn't think about all the interactions, right? Like as we were talking at the tournament about Grey Knights, right? Where it's like they didn't think about it, and now you have like nobody's bringing Grey Knights because they want to wait until the refresh, right? So I don't think we're gonna see a like real Grey Knight wave until a refresh, and then that's when we're gonna see how broken they are. But everybody wants to play Thousand Suns right now, it seems. So like that to me, I think is the real problem with Psychic. It's like it's the same problem that I see with Emperor's Children now, where it's like, We didn't get much better, like codex wise. We just got better from the rules. And now people are taking them because they're like, oh, they work now and they're cool. It's like, oh yeah, cool. Your win rates are going to change and be weirder based off of that for sure. So I'm not sure. I will say that like the +1 weapon skill is very interesting. Exactly. Paying for the sins of others. That's how I feel with Emperor's Children. I always tell people, like, when I went to the Dallas Open back in May, a couple of my buddies who I've known who play Emperor's Children, I was like, "Oh, are you playing Emperor's Children? You playing Emperor's Children?" They're like, "No, I'm playing CSM." I was like, "Traitors, sons of Abaddon! I'll be here playing Emperor's Children until the sun goes out." Um, just because it's so much fun. Like it's fun playing your faction, and as I will say, I did enjoy playing against the Defiler and seeing it save. It was on one wound and it saved on that 6-up feel no pain like what, like 3 times? It was something like that. It was awesome. I mean, horrible for my game plan, but like watching it was just like that's incredible. That's probably got to be the best. That's how I feel whenever I have my Fulgrim feel no pain. And I'm just like, yes. Yeah, the fact that like the poison went off once would have killed it and you saved it. Oh, the Forge Fiend got taxed. Did it really? The one thing I will say is it's really hard to get this Munitorium field manual now that it's its own website. Yeah, the 5-point special weapon tax, I'm not super happy about. Like, I understand it for the auto cannons because I know Emperor's Children is in auto cannons, but I was like, what? Like, yeah, this is expensive now. The fact that ours went up to 300 is bad. The base in CSM is now 340. Like, the Mauler Fiend is a great, or not the Mauler Fiend, the Defiler is a great example of where GW's business example goes so freaking badly, right? Because the Defiler is such a cool unit. It costs a decent amount of money to get, and right now is super hard to get. So half of the thing to me feels like, all right, cool. They made it 250, so you'll buy 2 or 3 of them, and you'll play 2 or 3 of them, and now they're gonna nerf them until you put them back on the shelf because they got their money. Predators going up. I'm gonna be real. As somebody who does not have these, good that the Predators are going up. Those are tough. Those being able to hide with the Rhino chassis, I'm scared of that. Sekitar, man, they really hit you guys. Terminators up. You didn't even get the chance to play the Terminators. The Lord of Change, I feel very badly for y'all for this one because you are paying for the sins of demons. Like, this is the demon sins tax because the Lord of Change just spam. Played against that as well with Sebastian. That was his last name. I think it was, can't remember his first name. I'm bad at things. Yeah, the fact that they mess with the detachment 3DP, that is crazy, actually. I'm not super happy with that already. But yeah, that one was gnarly. That was gnarly. And I think he tabled Knights the next game that we played. And I think he was done before I was. And I was trying to get tabled at the end. Said, Emma's coming to pick me up. It's time to go home and get some Whataburger. Yeah. Honestly, not a bad idea dropping the Defiler for a Pred Destructor and a Hellbrute. That is not a bad idea at all. What is the Hellbrute's ability in Thousand Suns? What does it do? Because is it a Psyker? If it's a Psyker, that's pretty cool. It would be a nice little thing that it does. G-Sun's Hellbrute getting the 5-up invul. Yeah, because not all of them have that, I don't think. I don't think the CSM one does. That is nice. I do like an invul on that. And then, yeah, we're talking about, then, like, let's look at generic Space Marines. I'm going to be real. It was very enjoyable watching the Ultramarine characters go up. I know there's some Ultramarines in the chat, but come on. I saw that most of the complaining about Ultramarine from Ultramarine players were like, well, it's all the guys who are taking all of our characters and they're not playing Ultramarines. Because your characters are freaking good. You're freaking good. You're one of the best armies in the game right now. You have like a really good win rate and everybody is doing well. Don't worry. You're going to be fine. The psychic disciplines you guys got were crazy. He battle shocks who he hits at -1 within a psyker. That's very nice. I'd pay for that. I usually pay for that in a thing. Yeah, I do. I'm happy in this thing is like if they're hitting all of your Ultramarine characters except for Tigerius, right? This is better for you guys in the long run. And you're going to probably look at me like I'm crazy, right? And be like, Nick, there's no way that point cost up on all Space Marine, Ultramarine characters is a good thing. It is. It means they understand how strong you guys are as an army and as a codex. Yeah. Over 50% with like, yeah, and there's a large amount of people that are still winning at 50%. Even new players and stuff like that. They're just great right now. I'm 95% sure. 95 as in, again, I don't know anything I'm talking about. This is probably going to mean that your stuff is going to get its own book. That's probably what it means, right? If they see that this stuff is so good by itself, then why not put it in its own book where it can shine and then people can spend the money on this, right? Because that's what GW does, right? They're a business. They look at things, they like half of this stuff is just point cost down on things that are already spent, right? So they can see that one, if this gets brought no matter what and keeps getting bought, even with these points up increases, you're going to get your own codex because they know they can sell Space Marines and Ultramarines. I think you're going to get your own codex. Now, one of my buddies has that everyone is going to get their own codex in the like founding chapters and the CSM one, back kind of like how it was in 8th edition, where everybody had their own book. And like if you had like intercessors for Space Wolves, they would just be in your book already. You didn't have to go buy another book, which does kind of make sense, especially if they want to do it for different detachments, right? And split the detachments up per book, where it's like you still get access to some of these, but the White Scars have all the tokens, and then they're going to make you buy the tokens, baby. Don't worry. I have my tinfoil hat on right now, really hard. Now to show you guys what happened to us. We had a great time. Our sorcerer is 55 points, and no one is ever going to take him. No one is going to take him because he still sucks. Slaxley is finally lower than Fulgrim, which is funny because she's better than Fulgrim, so she probably shouldn't be. Fulgrim went down 10. He still sucks. Fulgrim needs another 20 off. Yeah, he needs more. He needs more. He still sucks. He's out of my list still. Mauler or Defiler went up. We also got the point hike, which is good because our autocannons are insane. But for me right now, I'm thinking one autocannon, and I'm thinking what is it called? The flamethrower, because I really like the flamethrower. I've been overwatching like crazy, and that's been nice. Lucius getting -10 is probably my favorite thing to come out of this. That and the Mauler Fiends, specifically because like Lucius is already good where he is. Like Lucius was great at 120 or 130. Now I'm gonna be real. This is probably even a little bit almost too low for him. I think this is what he was originally point costed at in the Codex too, at one point. But so that's the big question. So at 120, yeah, he's getting brought. I'm bringing one or two of them now. So the Mauler Fiend is really interesting because he's that melee, and this is the video I'm working on this week. I'll probably have it out by Saturday because the Mauler Fiend is one of the most fascinating units in our book, specifically because it doesn't do the thing it normally does, right? Like the Mauler Fiend, I always put in reserves now at this point. He's usually like an intimidation piece, right? Where he's actually like, oh, I don't want a Mauler Fiend to show up in my deployment zone, or oh my god, this Mauler Fiend can come and punch me. But like, so the data sheet ability is crazy because it's that psychological like board control Emperor's Children stuff that it does. So it's the only Emperor's Children data sheet that I find is the most Emperor's Children, which is funny. So the Mauler Fiend gets better when it takes damage, right? So the minute it takes damage and goes below whole strength, it is +1 to hit on the Mauler Fiend. And then if you get it to, I think at half, I think it starts for the other one. At half, it's +1 to wound. So a +1 to hit, +1 to wound Mauler Fiend the minute you shoot at it. So part of it is you show it up in a place in the map reserves where it can kind of be seen, not super seen, but like make some good plays in the next turn. And then you go, do you want to kill it? Can you kill it? If you do any damage, I get better. So it's almost like an emotional deterrent where you're like, okay, if I can't kill that thing immediately, like a Predator las cannon can do it because it's like T10, 3 up, 5 up, nothing crazy. But it does have the 5 up invuln, which is nice. And then it's 12 wounds. So you got to make sure you hit it twice with 6s on a las cannon. So that's what it does. It gets better as it gets damaged. And this is why, even at 130, I was like really considering them. But 120, the fact that they're same point cost as Lucius, they are phenomenal. What is the kitty doing? Kitty, what are you doing? This kitty likes to chew on plastic. No chewing on plastic, kitty. No chewing on plastic. All right, sweet boy. Yeah. So, no, it's not It's not faster than T10 or movement 10. So but it does get the ability to advance and charge, and that is the bigger one, especially with the new rules for charges and stuff like that, where it's like, well, technically you don't have to do. Yeah, it's 10 inches. You technically don't have to like worry about your charge target now, which I'm not doing it that way because it's still easy to play thrill seekers without having to do that. But yeah, the Mauler Fiend is definitely going to list at 120 points. I'm gonna be real. Like, I wish I was playing Demonettes because Slaxy Hellbane is really tempting at 315. But I'm very happy with that. I will say I do think that it was a very crazy change at first to put it to priority assets. But I did try a list that has 2 spawn, Mauler Fiend, and like a flamethrower defiler, and it was one of those where I went, oh, this is much better, and now I'm more scared. Much more scared for everybody else now because there's just such a like cat and mouse chase now for the Emperor's Children. Funny enough, I was rewatching. I was getting because I'm catching up with JoJo's in the series. I'm in what's it called? Yeah, I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm playing because I was watching JoJo's part 4. I think it's 4 where they're in Morio. But there's the scene with the rat where they're having to hunt the stand root user who's a rat at one point, and they're like, you gotta be cool. You gotta wait. You gotta let them come to you. And I went, oh, this is just playing Emperor's Children. I just have to set infiltrators out and do all that and go and wait for the rat to come bite his cheese. Stuff like that. But that's why I like that one for coterie, which is bringing me back my addiction to my 4-up feel no pain. Oh, my 4-up feel no pain addiction. But fun stuff. I'm really enjoying that. I really, really liked the fact that they went a little heavy-handed, right? I think if they're willing to do that every month and they continue to be heavy-handed, it's going to be more fun, specifically if we just get like even if Emperor's Children, right? If they pull up to the top where they're doing extremely well, right? If you see me go undefeated, you're about to see Emperor's Children take a massive nerf. And you know what? And that'll be good, right? Everybody deserves their time at the sun at points in time. Right now, I'm looking at this going, I need to play. I need to play right now because this is strong. We're really at a really strong point. So Emperor's Children, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna watch out for them. I'm gonna watch out for them in mirror match because I'm scared. But yeah, I'm excited for the changes. I'm happier that they're more willing to make changes now, which sucks for the Thousand Suns. It sucks for CSM at times. It sucks for Space Marines, but it is only the first month, right? We're gonna hopefully. I'm really intrigued on these Codex rumors that are coming out, right? Talking about the new Space Marine Codex maybe being T5 Marine base. I wonder if that means that all Marines are going to go up at the same time if they're willing to do these changes. It'd be nice to have, as we've got Thousand Suns in the chat, right? Nice to have, the rubrics go up to T5, right? Because right now, Space Marines just don't. Yeah. Yes, I cannot believe that it didn't start out with attacks on the Laser Destroyer. That was something that I was very surprised about. I even play like the Rep X in my Space Wolves. And that's one of the things I was like, I didn't get hit. I was expecting to pay a tax on that. I think the Eradicator squad with the heavy bolter, I think 70 was wild for 3 models. I think that's insane. I don't know of any 3 model elite unit like that that's below 90 points. That was nuts. Land speeders going up. Speeders are scary. I will be honest, the lieutenant with combi weapon, a Calidus assassin. I am bringing Calidus assassins. They're great. You can make everybody's CP go up by 1. Where is the Rep-X? I passed it. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, 255. Even me, I'm like 265 is what I would have made it, to be honest. Rep-X's are really strong. But speaking of things that are very, very strong, what the hell is this? This is the worst thing to ever happen. Why did they barely nerf it all? Orcs. Why are we still doing 10 boys at 75? 160, whatever. That's the same as Marines, sure, but now you, like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? On the 4th model of 10, you're going to make it 85? My guys, like, what is going on here? Exactly. And the Codex is coming out. They're probably going to nerf them in the Codex, but I'm like, Codex, they look better. If they show up with 75 points after the Codex, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. I'm going to lose it. 235 points for Gazgul. And it's 300 points for freaking Gilliman. Like, I do love Gilliman has gone more expensive than Fulgrim. Finally, something in this world that kind of makes sense when it comes to points is Gilliman going up to a point where he's past Fulgrim. Because he's better than Fulgrim. You can just select Fulgrim and go +1 to wound, hit on 2's Rep-X, and I go, all right, great. I better have those 4-ups. Yeah, they'll never sell enough Armageddon boxes. That's why they finally upped the combi weapon these last couple of months. They finally sent out the what's it called? New truck price. Oh, I didn't do that. I was like, where's the orc truck? Ancient Blade Guard. Yeah, where are the orc stuff? What happened to the orcs? Oh no. Oh no, orc truck. Ah! Ah! Oh no. Well, you know what they're expecting to sell a lot of? They're expecting to sell a lot of trucks. Beep, beep. My God. That's so little. Oh my God. That's so funny. I will say though, and I'm sure this is the sin of the Warhammer streamer, right? Is everyone's going to mention this? Somebody was telling me about the old truck rules back in the Gorka Morka days where the truck was like this big, but you would just stack models on top, and as many models as you could fit on top of the truck was the carrying capacity. But any models that fell off insta-died. And I'm like, bring that back, but make it 200 points. The minute you put all of those models in there, make it 200 points. Well, I'm liking these points. Is there anything you guys want to look over before I move on to my next topic? Because there's also something that I want to talk about. Because your boy, right? I've outsmarted the core rules. T8, 4 saves, 10 wounds. I'm sorry, did you say that it has an invuln and it's 55 points? I don't like that. I don't like that. 6-up invuln, I'd pay for a 6-up invuln. I'd pay good money for a 6-up invuln. So is there before we go into that, is there anything else anybody wants to look at? Any other factions that they're intrigued on seeing how they've differed? Chaos Space Marines is a good one. They got screwed. They got hit hard, which is because they are insane. I'm going to be real. Abaddon could have gone up to 300. He's insane. Oh, the Defiler's not base 340. Oh, it lied to me. Oh, weird. But the second one's 340. Weird. The app was weird. Huh. I saw one that said that. Huron going up. Yeah. Yeah. Do I think he needs to go up to 130? Maybe. I don't know. Reeve Captain. The Mutilator's going down 15 scares the crap out of me. I'm not not super looking forward to that because I know one of my buddies is going to run them into me and I'm going to get hit. And then I'm glad that the Nemesis Claw went down. But it's time. It's time because I have outsmarted the core rules of the book. Yes, you've heard this right. I, Nick, know something GW does not. No, I'm just kidding. No, it is really funny. So we've had some changes to the core rules, and I'm being dramatic about it, but I did find some very interesting things, and let me know if we want to head back to that at any point, but we'll move on right now because we're gonna go talk about core rules. And if you caught my last stream on Monday, we were talking about benefit of cover and how benefit of cover is a load of weird stuff right now because people are playing them wrong. No, I don't need AI. I'm good. I got my own brain. I got it. So the problem is that GW has done an oopsie poopsie when it comes to their writing and their grammar, right? Where the way that the core rule has described cover and hidden, right, is technically incorrect, specifically because of this, right? Because we've used this to indicate for this, right? And if we look at terrain object, oh, wait, you guys can't see any of this. There we go. Now you can see it. So benefit of cover, hidden and obscuring, right? There was a big problem because if we look, right, at some of these, and if we looked at what the core rule says on the actual Warhammer app, we have some differences, we have some issues, right? We went over this on Monday talking about how there was possibilities where you could have people basically lined up here, right? And technically based off of the wording of within that they have on this page here, right? This thing being within, that technically your full base didn't have to be on the thing. The unit didn't have to be quote unquote fully inside the terrain piece in order to gain hidden and got on the ground, right? Those 15 and 12-inch low knobs. Now, if we take a look, and I'm going to have to pull this up on the actual phone, so bear with me. I apologize for the hopefully readable text that I'm about to pull up. So if we see, one of my hairs is stuck to my phone. As we can see, it's going to fix in a second. Can you guys see that? There's a glare, unfortunately. Nope, that way. It's going to be really hard to see. But basically, what it says is that if it's within a terrain area that contains one or more light or / dense terrain features and they haven't made a ranged attack, that they're hidden, right? And if they go behind a dense wall, that they're hidden. So we took a look at that and we were like, all right, cool. That means that that means that if somebody's like here, right, base-wise, technically rules is written, even if their base is hanging off the edge, they've determined within to also include that, right, in the core rules. Here's where it all gets freaking interesting because I decided that I wanted to go take a look at the Warhammer. I wanted to go take a look at the Warhammer Academy stuff. And I thoroughly recommend going and checking that website out. I wasn't super interested in it at the beginning. It's actually really comprehensive. I really like it. Especially if you're wanting to learn how to play the game, learning your army, learning how to paint. Because I know there are some new people in the chat. Definitely go and check this out. It's a really great resource. But while doing this, I also found Adam talking about how hidden is in what GW's intention is with hidden and how the core rules are different than their intention. That was not
distant enemy units that are not taking part in firefights and are instead concentrating on remaining unseen.
We're gonna not do the
An enemy unit is hidden if it is an infantry, beast, or swarm unit, is fully on a terrain piece, and had fired a weapon in the pre.
So even GW is saying they have to fully be on a terrain piece.
So technically, the core rules as of right now are wrong. The core rules are wrong, everybody. We did it. We beat GW. The core rules are wrong, and we were right. Even GW. So this is actually more accurate than the FAQ at that point, right? Because it's them teaching you how to play, and it's their Warhammer Academy of officially teaching you how to play the game, right? And that is their intention when they mean within. Just because somebody doesn't know their grammar over there, which is a problem, right? Because it should stick to this version of Holy On. If it doesn't work this way, it's broken and it's bad. To me, this is again where I see a lot of people complaining about the American competitive scene, and I don't blame them because that is like, it's that crazy thing of like, guys, come on, you are just trying to make this game work in any way for you, when like that's not at all how anyone is interpreting this. Like, that's not how that works, right? Like, they're not fully on the base. Like, half the time it was like, all right, I'm in front of that barricade. It's like, yeah, of course you're not hidden if you're in front of the barricade, but that was the way it was. So this is, to me, more official, right? This is the official, like, them saying, hey, it's supposed to be fully on a terrain pace. We messed up in the core rules, right? I've talked to GW employees about this, and they've agreed, where they're like, yeah, that's what we meant. This is what we meant. This is what the intention is with that rule, is that you're not supposed to be doing it willy-nilly, right? Because like, and we'll do this shortly, because I did a lot of this on we'll do a little bit of this, because like, one of the things that I noticed specifically for those who weren't in the chat, I need to see how these work as well to get more things, but dang, they didn't give us more for priority assets. That sucks. I want more. Give me more. But so like, if we look at like this, like this map, right? There's a lot of places to hide in this map already. But the way that hidden would have worked, right, based off of the random interpretations that some people had, would have been that a unit doing like being over here, right? Let's say circle. Oh, I'm so bad at drawing circles. Then that got them hidden 12 op, 12-inch lone op of hidden, right? Like, that's stupid. That's dumb. Like, yeah, towing the front edge does not give you hidden. If somebody plays it, pull up the Warhammer Academy thing and show them that that's the intention. Because that is official 40K. It's not Combat Patrol. That's official 40K. That's what they are teaching and saying is our lesson, and what we put out is that terrain is fully. It's fully. Because also, look, I'm a melee player, right? I play mostly melee armies. Like, the most shooting I have is like a Defiler, right? I play Space Wolves. I play Demons. Actually, the most shooting army I have is Chaos Knights and CSM. Like, that's what I have when it comes to shooting, and Noise Marines. But they're just special little boys, right? They're my special boys. But like, we look at this, and I'm looking at it going, it's broken. If you play it this way, I will win most games just specifically because I have the speed advantage. It eliminates a lot of the terrain as an option, though, as the ruins on them will not physically allow a model to be fully on. Well, it's like, the funny thing is that like, this box can fit a Land Raider. Like, this box can fit a Land Raider fully. Like, no sponsons coming off at all, right? And that's the thing, is there's certain things that shouldn't be able to get covered, right? Like, you can fit a 20-man unit in there, in this brick, right? But that should be like the trade-off, you know? Because it does eliminate the terrain as an option when it comes to dealing with like hidden and stuff, but also like, you've got places to hide here. This is honestly just a weird map, but you've got places to hide basically like here, right? Where it's like, you can hide here, you can hide back here, right? You can hide your units back here if you need to. Even so, like, you can get smaller units of 5s onto these where there's these like extra little divots in. And like, my point is that, like, as somebody who doesn't play a lot of shooting, right? I saw how you would then look and go, okay, I have to get into my opponent's territory in order to start doing damage on the first turn, which then immediately is, okay, cool, then I kill you. I walk over and I kill you for a 2-inch charge, right? And it's like, I understand that we want shooting to get a balance from last edition, but at the same time, like, we don't melee to be now the best thing in the game, right? And have orc boys be doing crazy things where they're like, all right, cool, I got 20 boys on there. So don't have the most consistent ruin pieces, which is fine. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, to me, things like this, right? There's intention to add more, right? Like room. I'm using a highlighter. I don't know why I did that. Right? Where there's more room, in which and this is the thing that kind of sucks, right? Pieces changing what can be hidden from game to game is rough. Yeah. The thing that sucks is that I can see where their business model is going, right? Which is, well, if you want to run the best terrain or the best tournaments, you have to buy our terrain and it's going to be exorbitantly priced, right? Like the fully painted stuff's going to be $300. So, and it makes sense, like, right? It's the same thing as what we were dealing with, the fact of like Fights First in 10th edition, where it's like, if you weren't in the scene when I wasn't in the scene, right? Like the times where before I had gotten into like tournaments and stuff, you know, you try and find out the rule for Fights First, you call a Warhammer store and they tell you the wrong thing, right? And you're like, okay, for a year we didn't know what the right word for or the right rules for Fights First into a Fights First unit was, just specifically because they went, yeah, we're not going to worry about it. And it feels like that same kind of laissez-faire attitude with this as well, where they're like, yeah, but you guys should know that, like, you don't get it if you're not on the terrain plate. But at the same time, I'm like, no, because people want to win and people want to do well. Like, people don't want to play a game and just get their butts kicked for gentlemanliness. They want, like, most people want to get better if they're trying to play in at tournaments, right? Like, they want to increase their skill. So this is the thing that I don't like about that, is partially because I'm like, there's no way that, like, if I put a unit right, like right here, that I should get benefit of cover. I always do that where I put it on the blue and then the red on the red, and then nobody can see anything. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Right? Yeah, like a unit like right here, right? And then telling me that I got to get all the way up here in order to see them, to me, is just going in the wrong direction, right? The onus shouldn't be on yes, that is a really great point. It shouldn't be on us to determine this stuff, or it shouldn't be something where I'm sitting here joyously going, I've beaten GW on the rules, when it's like, you said you wanted the game more narrative. Yeah. If you're standing in front of a wall, you're not hidden. Like, you know, it's just a funny thing with that. I understand the concern on it too, because it's the frustrating thing of the fact of like this terrain piece and this terrain piece are completely different, right? You've got this extra bit. Hold on a minute. I think we just came across a map mistake. I don't think, because this is the exact same terrain piece. Oh boy. Yep. Oh. Well, that's a problem. It should be exactly the same. I went, oh, that's why. That's what. So, yeah, that helped prove that helped prove my point a little bit. That helped a little bit. So yeah, this is why, like, when I talk to new players, I am like, don't worry about right now, because right now is so weird. Because yeah, the fact that terrain piece is missing parts, like, that's bad, right? That's not good, because I mean, this is the same. These are the layouts that are event companions. Like, this means the attacker has a massive advantage with getting hidden, right? Minor complaint. Shout out to the court. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. 16.25. You just wanted to make extra 25 inches on both sides. Like, I love how even here you're like, all right, cool. Wait, is that actually no, it's just the freaking middle line. You could have measured it from this little thing, and then it no, it probably would have no, it would have been worse. Yeah, no, no, it's not in all honesty, the funny thing is that I find it to be like one of those minor complaints that's actually a reasonable complaint. Like we're using tape measures. You know, we're using tape measures. You want us to measure a quarter of an inch when we have an hour and 35 minutes to play each game, and then we have to set up the table for the next game at the beginning of the game to see what we get? Birds are saying, what is this madness now? Like, what is this madness? This is mad. What is this? This is madness. Like, it's the thing of where, and this is where again, I love like getting this tool set. This is a $1 billion company. This is a $1 billion company. And they can't even get their freaking maps right. And then they want to say, hey guys, don't forget, there's a price hike that's going to come this year because we haven't made enough money. And you're like, well, then can you make sure that the stuff you're putting out is not wrong? Right? Like, it's understandable to make mistakes, or even like we bought some of the terrains from Nexus, who's printing some of their own terrain because it's out there available. And we found that just one of the things just did like one of the like it didn't do this setup correctly. Right. It only had it for this one. And it's fine. You just flipped it over. But it's a smaller game company, right, in northern Texas, where they're doing the best they can, and they have the best events out there. All the stuff that they put their money to, it's like, all right, you make a small mistake, you're small and you're already doing amazing. Whatever. This is GW. They're making $1 billion. My game 2 map setup was incorrect. Yeah, no, like that's the thing is like it's one of those things because it's those things being incorrect in the app is one thing. Making a mistake is one thing. It's their attitude about all of this, right? Like when they did the Q&A, I keep coming back to this Q&A because that rubbed me the wrong way. Their attitude about this is so much of like, oh my God, why are you guys complaining? Right? Like you guys are so upset all the time. And we're like, yeah, because we care. Like there's something snooty about some of these game companies sometimes that like even look at this, right? Where like talking about this, don't let the name fool you. There's no scope, so you can be whatever chapter you like, right? It's like very subtle. Yeah, recon versus disruption and sweeping engagement. Absolutely, I can check that. But that's what I mean is like they're acting like, oh well, recon versus disruption. That's what it was. They're like, oh well, it's not that big of a deal, and it's like, yes, it is a big deal, right? Like when they were like, you guys can wait 10 more days for this FAQ and the rules, and disruption. There we go. Yeah, that's layout C, layout B. Okay, here should be layout B for that one, and then we can take a look at it. But like that to me was the big bother where they're like, yeah, we're not gonna worry, we're not gonna fix it, and you're like, what the heck, guys? Like the game just came out. If somebody was like, hey, there's a game breaking bug in a game, and the developers came out and said, well, there's a patch coming in 10 days, right? You would be like, what the literal crap was that? What the hell? That's rude. Why would I buy your game again? Right? Why would I pay for this? Because if you're just not going to care about the fact that you've put a product out and it's not perfect, and then you're going to act like we're the ones upset about it, that's lame. Sweeping engagement. Okay, then I might have the wrong one then. Oh, here we go. Sweeping engagement. Is that disruption? There we go. Okay, I had the wrong one for you. There we go. Okay, yeah, so the app is wrong, but out here it's right. Like this to me is the big problem, right? They're asking us to pay more. They're asking us to use their stuff. Sorry, was Dawn of War. Okay, no worries. No worries. I just want to make sure I had the right one for you. You're all good. Like this is the thing that bothers me the most. Also, this is wild. This is a wild map. This is a wild map. This one and purge the foe with sweeping as well that I did against priority assets. Where is that one? That one was also weird. I want to pull that one up too because that one was also crazy. Where is it? Oh yeah. So this is also another thing that I hate. GW likes to do things upside down, right? We normally tend to have to read apps upside down since, you know, we're having to share stuff sometimes. It makes it just faster, just have one map out. I don't know about you, but to me, there's something about this font that I'm like, no, that's a 9. No, that's a 9. There's something wrong here. It must be a 9, right? Even with the things up here, there's something broken in my brain. And me and Justin were both like, why is it saying 9 inches away, but 9 inches doesn't work? That was just a me dumb problem. I will say, though, that this map was weird. All of these maps are weird. I like them, but they're weird. They're very weird. But yeah, like this is the big problem with GW right now is we have a bunch of stuff where they're going, everything's fine, guys. Everything's fine. And you're like, it's not fine. We're spending the people who bought the $300 Armageddon box probably need to be like, guys, what? Right? Like, what? Could you imagine buying a video game for $300 and then they tell you your update's going to take a long time? Like, we played with the FAQ because we're like, yeah, we're going to play with the FAQ. Like, why would we not? You know? I understand if they're like, yeah, this is the teaser time. Go out and play with the rules and see what you like. But especially if you're not going to talk about the things like hidden and things like that. The problem is then we look at some of these stuff for the Munitorium Field Manual. And to me, right, as somebody who looks through a lot of the like metadata, because I used to be in journalism and I worked with a lot of statistics and stuff. So like to me, looking through those stuff is fun. But to me, I'm going through and going, all of this data is wrong now. The data that you guys are getting from tournaments is wrong because if people are playing cover different to game, you know, like how are you gonna get accurate statistical data if your people who are playing the game can't get the game correct, right? Because of the rules that you have written out, when even your own websites and tutorials are talking a different way than your core rules say, right? Where it's like, depending on what club somebody who watched the Warhammer Academy stuff goes into, right? Whatever, like, you know, tournament they go into, right? You know, they could end up with the wrong impression because they could say like, hey, by the way, guys, it's fully, and then have a bunch of dudes going, no, that's not rules as written, right? And do the thing where they're going, all right, cool, I can do whatever I want with this cover now at this point. And that's where then it falls upon this new person to go, oh, I just don't want to play that way. Or, hey guys, like that's not what the interpretation is, obviously based off of Warhammer's own teaching lessons, right? Where if you want this information, you got to go to 3 different places to find the correct information. And to me, that's taken that step back in the wrong direction, right? Where the game's going great, but it's also the thing of like, but it's really stupid stuff that's falling through the cracks, like the new hidden mechanic, right? That and like even the wall thing that's confusing, where it's like, because technically the rules say now base is 1 inch, like engage is 1 inch, but it was base to base now, and now I'm confused too, right? Where it's like, this game's already complicated enough. Stop making it hard on us. Stop making it harder on us. But it's fine. You know, that's my big thing with that, is that I'm very excited on the fact that I was technically right, sort of. But other than that, yeah, exactly. Unnecessary game rules is the problem, where it's like, if it's unnecessary, why do it at that point, right? Because like, especially when it comes to a game like this, where it's like, well, some things are good at this thing, some things are good at that thing, right? And we try, like, because that's the thing, is like 40 to 50% is the best win rate, like that everybody should have, right? 50% should be bordering on, okay, something's hard, right? Yeah. Way more button up and transparent. Man, Thorn, I'm so glad you've joined the stream. You and I are on the same page. Absolutely. I've been yelling about transparency. They need to be way more transparent, not only about the rules design, how they do it. They also need to be way more transparent about their scheduling and how they're scheduling their releases. And the fact that we sit there and we really just wait until a month, usually, until a codex comes out. And to me, I understand the idea of like, hey, you can't front load all of the codexes in 11th edition because that's just not smart business. But at least be like, hey guys, if you are thinking about getting into the game and you're waiting off buying a codex, God dang it, this cat is just going crazy over here. He's fine though. If you're looking on buying a codex, these are the codexes that are going to come out until December, right? Like December, we're not going to tell you what order, right? But if you want to play and you're like, do I buy a codex now or do I wait until it comes out? Here's the lineup until the end of 2026. If you wanted to buy one of these codexes, it is safe to go buy one now. And that makes them more money. Like, you know, it is odd that a company with this size and years between edition and major game changes has a fair amount of bumps along the release road. Agreed. To me, it feels like that the team, the problem is that their team is changing, right? In which maybe the old heads of the Warhammer core rules have either moved on to different teams, to like AOS, maybe even in Heresy, or if there's just people who have left because they're just like, nah, I just don't want to do this anymore, right? I wonder if it's that, because I know back in January, they were hiring a new creative lead for 40K. Let me see actually what they've got on Warhammer Careers right now. Because this honestly is where I find a lot of like, what to me, it seems like they have a lot of like, right? So like right now they've got business operations jobs. They've got 3 studio jobs, no thing in publishing, manufacturing, distributing. Okay. What you got? Writer? Okay, we'll think about that. Maybe I'll move to London. Maybe I'll move to Nottingham. I mean, that was fun. But go back. Warhammer Studios. Let's see if there's any game design jobs. All right, here we go. So there's a miniatures designer job, there's a production controller, and then there's a planning coordinator. So this is where I found that that they had a new creative lead job, and that closed February of 2026 or something like that. So there's obviously a new creative lead pushing a lot of this stuff, which is where I feel like the things are getting better. But it feels like maybe they've got some of the same managers above them that are causing problems with the way they want to push stuff out. Maybe they want to push stuff out harder. Maybe they want to push it out faster, but they're just not let it to. I want their itinerary. Show me receipts when they clock in each day and what they're doing. Planning and margin coordinator needs some attention. Yup. I actually think that was one of the, planning and margin coordinator. Yeah, that's absolutely a job that's open right now. Yep. That's part of it. You nailed it right on the head. I didn't even see that. I was like, I think I saw somebody with that. Yep. It's because they're previous, they're in between planning and margins coordinators. Man, Thorn, you got that big brain right there. That's that big brain thinking right there. Like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Is that they've got one of their dudes one of their people just left. Dudes, ladies, whoever, right? One of their people just left. They've got a production controller also. Yep. 50 studio colleagues. One dude is planning 50 people's schedules for upcoming deadlines. Oh, that's rough. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's less for me. It's like it's a lot less on the fact of like, the rules need to be fixed. To me, it's more of like to me, the thing that made me upset about a lot of this was the Q&A, right? When they did the Q&A and they're like, send in your rules questions, we'll answer them. We're not answering a single one of them. Like, That's basically what they did. And to me, that comes from their social media team and their, entertainment team. And then to me, I'm gonna be real honest, not really been liking them over the last couple of years so far. To the point where there was that one stream where they did the Yarick's dead forever, right? Stream, and then all of those guys got fired, which I thought was hilarious. Like all of those guys got fired from that position. They got demoted down to the Warhammer Plus stuff, where it's like, dog, they shoved you into the alley. They shoved you into the basement and said you're never coming up for air ever again. And like to me, that is kind of like it feels like that's where like they are failing, where it's that community, which again, let's look. I think there was a community manager. Where is it? Oh my god, did I click out of it? I might have clicked out of it. But yeah, I think there was a community manager one too. But like that's to me one of the biggest grievances to me is that they kind of act like we're asking for too much when you're like, guys, this is not a way to run a business, right? If the customer is looking at you and saying, hey, I've got some issues, there's some things that need to be fixed, and your attitude is, we'll have them out for you in 10 days, don't worry about it, right? Like, guys, like, you're lucky that Warhammer is the only universe like this on the tabletop, really, that's this popular, because that made me want to go play Trench Crusade, right? I mean, I'm never going to leave 40K, but it's like, I love the game and I love the rules and I love the community, but GW needs to get its attitude in check, right? The only thing I dislike really is I want more transparency and I want them to check their attitude, be a little bit more gracious on the fact that like they act like we're kind of grubby, right? Oh, we need these rules. We want this. We want that, the leaks and whatnot. When it's like, bro, you've got a community full of passionate people who want to be a part of it, people who want to contribute to your tournaments for free, right? Like right now, I'm not making any money doing this, but it helps the game, it helps the community, and it helps people do this and helps people learn. And like that to me is a sacrifice in which at some point it might be, something I could make money off of. But right now, it's just for the love of the game, dog. I do have a lot of balance. Like, exactly. Like, that's the thing is that it's also one of those things where we as the community do a better job balancing ourselves than they do. Where I'm looking at this rule going, what's going on with the rule? And trying to figure it out so that when we go into tournaments and we go and play like up at Nexus, right, that we know how the rule is supposed to work. Exactly. Weird thing to maintain a living game that operates alongside a universe in a game. It's hard, especially because like there is the things of like, well, do we go more lore heavy or do we go more balance heavy? Like, do people want us to play the game exactly like it is in the universe, or do things need to be like balance? Things actually need balance and say like, no, Noise Marines are not as tough as they claim to be in the universe, specifically because if we had everything do that, it's the same thing of like, I think recently a company recently did a anime tournament off and JoJo's won. And you're like, people were like, no, there was no way. And you like, go watch JoJo's. And you're like, every little thing, the writing is crazy. You're like, what is going on? Like, and it's the commitment to it that makes it so great. And that's the same thing about the Warhammer universe, where every single thing is the best at whatever it does in the galaxy. And they're all a like nuclear level threat, like omega level threat mutant wise. And that's like that's a very good comparison with JoJo's, where it's like every single time they fight somebody, they're like, there's nothing you can do, right? Like I'm right now on the Kira arc, and you're like talking about this man's powers, and he's like, there's no way you can beat me. And then half of it is come up with an idea that they had no one would have thought of normally or traditionally in that idea or in that sense. And like that's how they beat stuff, which is the fun thing also with 40K is you're like, well, sometimes it's just plot armor, but like, yeah, like this is one of those things where it's like, it's a game. Sometimes you got to go, in my imagination, my Noise Marines are the toughest things ever. On the game, they're havocs. I'll take a +1 toughness. That's enough, right? Like Eldar. Eldar is one of the weird ones where it's like Eldar are crazy. Like I play against a lot of Eldar because my partner Emma plays Harlequins, right? Harlequins are insane. They're insane. A 4-up invuln on everything, dev wounds on almost every single weapon. And you're like one of my buddies, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, Emma's going to play in the next RTT and she's bringing Harlequins. Watch out, right? They're brutal. They're super brutal. And he's like, they're not that bad. I'm like, they have dev wounds on every single thing and they can get +1 to wound innately. And they have dev wound, anti 4-up dev wounds, anti-vehicle 4-up dev wounds on every single one of their shooting boats that they can get access to. And you're like, oh, and then also their new detachment gives all their vehicles assault without having to give them assault with a token. And on top of that, they get sustains for just being vehicles, but sustains for jumping out. Why is nobody taking them? What is going on? Like, they're so good at that, right? But the crazy thing is, if we go and we look at the Harlequin data sheets, right, and I'll have to pull up new recruit for this one, they actually changed some of the terms for their army rule, and we're not exactly sure how the army rule is supposed to work for them, where it's like, guys, this is a little broken. Personally, I believe that they should get the army role specifically because it says it on their data sheet. But so if you look at the troop data sheet, let's get that on there. Which I love the Harlequins. I don't think if you speak too loudly, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they got all buffed this edition too. You should go look at how the Harlequins got buffed. They got an extra 85 points to all of their lists. So abilities. Okay, so they've got the rule battle focus, right? The battle focus rule says if your faction is Astriani, right, at the start of the battle round. But technically their faction is Harlequins, but when they do that, it doesn't say that they become Astriani. It says they become Eldari. I'm writing a Weebo the John Warhammer right now. Yeah, so they're not Astriani technically, but they have the battle focus ability because it used to say Eldari. Where it's like they technically, do they have it? Do they not have it? Because if you go look at if you go look at the I went too far because this is all different. If you go basically to the Yanari stuff, right? Where are they? How do you find them? Are they in allies? I don't know where they are. Where are they at? Emma knows. Cloud Corsair is a good one too. Nope, those are legends. That's not a good one. Swooping Hawks. There we go. Nope, that's an Aspect Warrior. As you can tell, I don't know very much about the Eldar. I don't remember what they're called. Corsairs. Okay. Corsairs faction Astriani. Yeah, so but right, they also technically don't have the Astriani keyword. Sounds good, man. Good chatting with you. Thank you for joining and thank you for being such a great participant. I really enjoyed chatting with you. We are doing this on Mondays and Fridays, 10 to 12. So jump back on Monday. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. That's the weird thing is that they technically, that's new. The faction that they have faction Astriani, that is also new. Because on the app, they have Eldari. So it's one of those where you're like, you're giving them the rule in their thing, which means that they probably have it. But technically, based off a keyword, they don't. It's the same bizarre stupidity that is actually the same thing for Space Marines as well. You're like, oh no, how'd they hit our Space Marines, right? So I'm sure that most of y'all play with some intercessors, right? If you're playing Space Marines. Cool. Who cares what it's called? So I need to show I need to show you what the intercessor's rule is because it's the same as the. Where did it go? In battle line. There we go. The intercessors. All right. So the intercessor's rule talks about objective secured, right? If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase and this unit is within range of an objective marker, that objective marker remains under your control, even if you don't have any models within range of it. Guess what? There are no objective markers in the game. So guess what? None of y'all have objective secured technically. This is the problem with some of the things is where there's things like that because it's the same thing for my what's it called? What are they called? Tormentors. Duh. It's the same thing for my tormentors, where the tormentors also have objective secured, but it says objective marker. So you use, of course, the objective terrain plate. Wow, that was really squeaky. Of course, you use the objective terrain plate because we're not savages. We're not animals, right? We know what's actually going on. You know, we know what the rule is supposed to be. And that, to me, is the thing that bothers me the most is that a lot of this is us having to go and say, like, all right, we know what the rule is supposed to be. So we're going to basically go and figure it out, right? Like, it's this very much like even here, like we look at this, they finally added the generating command points. They add anything about that? Oh, interesting. By the way, did you know that round 5 you can score as much VP as you can? That is interesting. But yeah, it doesn't look like they've added anything in here to say like, yeah, you can't do the, yeah, it doesn't, they didn't add anything to be all of that. And so that's one of the big issues with a lot of this is it's the problem of they have these things that they're like, you guys know, right? You played 10th edition, you know, but 11th edition was supposed to get new people in the game. Like, why are we sitting here not trying to get new people in the game and help explain it to them? You know, like I played with people who were like, oh, the rule doesn't matter, right? Until the rule mattered to them. And then they would know the rule instantly and then they would do it. And the problem is like, no, the rules all matter. Like the rules matter when you're playing a narrative, even when you're playing a winning competitive game. The rules matter. The rules matter because like there's more fun when you are being able to play within the rules of the game. And that allows your imagination to take over and have more fun, right? If we know that this is how something is supposed to go, right? Then you can use your imagination and have more fun with the game because you can actually then look at it and go, all right, I can suspend my disbelief for a couple of minutes and say, all right, they're in this building. They're hidden. They're obscuring. All right, that means that a lot of them are like hunkered underneath a bunker. They're hunkered but not behind a wall, right? They're like Gears of War all slammed up against the wall where it's going to be a lot harder to hit them unless you get a good angle on them. And to me, like, that's a really cool and fun way of being like, all right, I walk in a building and now I get to hide in a bunker versus like what it was in 10th edition where I go, I walk in a building. Okay. Building means now I can shoot other stuff. And it's like, you know, or like even the objective markers where you're sitting there and you're like, I'm going to just walk onto this objective marker. Why? Because there's a circle and it told me to. The circle told me to walk onto it, right? And it's like, now everything feels more of like, all right, priority assets. I'm doing an action on objective. All right, cool. I'm typing buttons and you got to come kill me while I'm typing buttons before I get all my buttons typed, right? And like that to me, I'm really enjoying about 11th. But it's harder to get to that suspense of disbelief the minute that somebody is like, hey, by the way, I've lined these guys up in front of a wall, but because he's behind that green part, I get to be hidden, right? Like you can't sacrifice game balance for narrative, and then you also can't sacrifice narrative for game balance. You know what I mean? Where that's the like teeter-totter that they're on, and like they're doing a decent job at it. I think right now they're just more hitting the narration than the game balance, right? Where it's like narrative is great, but you don't need to be laissez-faire on the rules because we can, you know, take some of those confines and go, Yeah, I mean, if I was playing a narrative and somebody was putting their stuff in front of a wall, I'd go, guys, we're playing in a narrative. We're not playing in a competitive. Do you really want your guys to be in front of a wall? That makes no sense. That's not how cover works in a narrative, right? So that's a big thing with me when it comes to like the whole thing about all of this. We're gonna probably wrap it up here in just a couple of minutes. Because in all honesty, there's really not much that's going on. I could really kind of just go on and like talk about a list that I'm building. That's kind of it. But I kind of want to keep that a secret a little bit. Video games can be so immersive you don't have to worry about the hidden constraints of the game. Exactly. Like that's the thing about it. Like if you played a competitive video game and somebody was figuring out some way that they could break the code of the game to beat you in an unbeatable way, would you think of that person as a skilled player or would you think of that person as breaking the rules? That's the question I kind of want to leave you guys with. To me, like the skill of the game comes from being able to navigate the confines and still be successful, right? The minute that you're trying to rule bend every little thing to your advantage is the minute I go and say, that's probably not a very good player. Because at that point, if a rule being bent is the reason why you've won, then it's probably not a good way to win, right? Like if somebody was playing the hidden rule in a way and then they went undefeated and somebody looked at it and went, that's not the way that you play hidden, then you've got an entire group of people who now you can look at it and then go, well, it's not how it's supposed to go. Right. Like that was a big thing that people brought up whenever the Art of War guys brought their other video again about talking smack about how people didn't like their faction review video or tier list because of their ranking for guard. And then the dude played guard, and I'm not exactly sure how he played. Wow, I accidentally let my caps light on. Like I haven't watched the guy play, but like to me, if he was sitting there using the hidden rules based off not like actually being hidden, right? Not fully on the terrain plate, playing it the kind of cagey, gamey way. Personally, I'd be like, well, that then doubles down on the fact that why everybody was upset with y'all. Where it's like you're not even playing in the most sportsmanlike way. Because to me, it's more sportsmanlike to take a disadvantage if you're not sure, right? Most of the time when I play the game, and Thorn could come back and be a prime example of this because I did it with him, where technically I don't select targets with Emperor's Children anymore. So the advance and charge thing is now one where if I fail a charge, then my other advanced units can then go into that same target, right? Which is not the case as it was before. I had to be careful of which one I selected, and that was part of the game. So to me, when I found out that that was not in it, I said, I'm the only Emperor's Children player in the tournament. I'm going to rule that the minute I measure is the minute I target, right? So if I fail a charge into a target, that means another unit that advanced can't go into that same target, right? Because to me, it makes me a better player to then go, okay, well, what do I do when I don't have the advantage? What do I do when I don't have this stuff? Because then it flexes your muscles and your brain to be able to say like, all right, cool. Now I know what to do when I don't have this. So if it is become the way the rule is, like let's say that hidden does end up that way, I now know how to hide all my guys without using the weird wording of hidden to then be able to say like, okay, well, now that I have this extra skill set, now I can jump in, right, and do that. Yeah, I wish AOR. I'm gonna be real. I'm very excited about the super heavy list, the Baneblade stuff that's coming out that I keep seeing. I'm really intrigued on that because I'm like, I don't know how I would deal with that as a player, and I think that would be really fun. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you as a player of that look up to this channel, not even like looking up as like, oh, daddy, but like looking up to them as like, well, I know that if I get my information from this source, that it's going to be a good source and I can trust the information. right? Like that's a big part of objectivity from journalism. One thing I learned when I was in journalism school, right, was specifically that the minute you lose objectivity when it comes to the whatever you're reporting on is the minute you lose the credibility and the reason to report, right? Like stated, you know, your game, right, is now one where it's worse from when it was 10th edition. And you know that. You play that. See, yeah, that isn't few people are happy about the suit since that isn't the guard that is playing Astra Militarum. Yeah, it's basically playing knights. I see what you mean. I'm very intrigued on it. I'm not like happy, but I'm intrigued. I think it's interesting. It's kind of like how I think Maulerfiend spam might be a thing for EC, but I don't know yet. It's just very weird. We're at a very weird time. But like that's one of the big issues, and I feel like when Tucker came out and he did that video where he's like, I went to a tournament and I went undefeated. I was like, you didn't understand at all why people were upset with y'all. You don't understand at all why people were upset with you. Even to his thing of like, guys, I made that list using a pen and paper. My dude, you work for Art of War. Why are you making lists for pens and papers and you didn't show that list to one other freaking person? You didn't show it to one other freaking person and you didn't check it or edit it or do anything before putting that video out. Like, come on. That's the biggest load of horse crap I've ever heard in my life. Like, Tucker is full of shit. I'm sorry. You're full of shit, dude. I'm getting real aggressive right here, but you're full of shit. You telling me nobody looked at it? That's on you, dude. That's your job. Do your job, right? Like, yes, I'll play it. I'll play against it. You'll probably see me go, I don't know what to do anymore. That is one that you should bring against Jose. You should bring Chaos. You should have him bring his Chaos Knights against the super heavy list and see how that goes. I'm really intrigued on how that would go. I think that could be very interesting. Maybe even I'll play Chaos Knights in you for fun. But like that to me is the biggest problem with a lot of that stuff where it's the like my job here is to tell you guys things objectively, right? I may have my own personal opinions about things. I may have things that I like versus others, but I'm also sitting here telling you that this is my bias. I'm biased towards this. I like this. I like that, right? Like the minute I saw EC, the minute I went, oh, we might be getting real good, right? It might be us getting nerfed next. Because I understand, right, that if I don't tell you the truth, you're going to look at me and go, I know that that's not true, Nick. No one can hide a lie that well, especially when you've got more than at least one person watching you, right? Like, I make mistakes on things all the time. I make mistakes on rules where it's like that's why I'm so adamant I'm figuring out how this hidden works. Because I had that situation where I went, I don't know what's going on. Let me figure it out. Let me find out. Like stated, we had that game where we were figuring out how benefit of cover worked. And I said, okay, I'm not going to shoot you because we don't know. I'm not going to find out. We don't have time right now. I'm just going to take the negative because I don't think that I should have been able to do it. By the way, I did find out if you do have benefit of cover, but you're not on a terrain plate, you unfortunately don't get hidden, but you do get benefit and the -1 for being with the sorcerer. So it is a -2 to hit anytime outside of cover. It's just the lone op doesn't apply. But you can easily apply the lone op once you walk in. But the Nemesis Claw and Sorcerer, that's a really strong combo. That's a really strong combo, and it didn't get nerfed. It got buffed. It got buffed. It's crazy. It got buffed. It got buffed, dude. It got buffed. Sorcerer didn't take any hits, and the Nemesis Claw went up or went down in points. It got buffed. It was great. I mean, I'm not happy about it because then I have to play it again. I got to get murdered again, but it's still awesome. But yeah, like you can't really purge out a bunch of Bulgrims and super heavies. That's true. So I'm not going to try to. I'm abandoning purge. I'm a priority asset boy now. I want to do actions. But like that's what I mean and why like the whole Art of War thing to me is just as somebody was a practicing journalist, literally the biggest load of horse crap that I've ever heard. And in all honesty, made my opinion of them even worse because I'm going, okay, so you just don't edit your stuff. Okay, you don't check your stuff. That's worse. Sorry. I double check my stuff before I watch anything or record anything. triple double check it so that I don't make a mistake, right? And even if I do, I come out and say I made a mistake. That's a crazy thing to say. But again, it hits the point right on the head, which is not, oh, guard is the worst thing in the game. It hits the nail on the head of, yeah, the guard can do stuff, but it's not the way I want to play, and that doesn't make it an A tier army. An A tier army should be able to play whatever way they want, right? And still be able to perform decently, right? A tier, like for Emperor's Children, is accurate because I can bring Mercurial Host and Spectacle of Spite and go, okay, I can actually play a game and win this and not get smashed and have to play Coder with 3 Winged Demon Princes. Like right now I have 1 and I'm feeling very confident about it, right? So like that's where I would put Emperor's Children at A tier. I'm like, okay, the play style has exploded. You can do way more. I can make a 240 wound body or 240 wounds total list where it's like, that's insane, Nick. That's freaking crazy, right? And that's why they're up there. They can do good stuff. They're great right now. And that's where I'd put guard at like C or D tier, where you're like, they can do stuff, but they're not the best thing in the game. They're not the thing where you're like, I can bring this weird list and still perform high. Like Space Marines are S tier because no matter what you're bringing right now, it's really good unless you just throw a list together and it's real bad, right? Like, and that's the balance of it, right? Is that things, to me, I find that they nerf too much at times. I think that what they should do is they should buff the other armies to just make them up to the 50% win rate of Space Marines and just make everything crazy. I need to do it. I think I might work on making the list in TTS today because I have also double checked how many infractors I would need and tormentors. And it'll be a second before I run Mass Marines, specifically because I will need to buy at least 4 more boxes. So that's about $240 for this list. That's actually funny that it would be a $240 for 240 wounds, pretty much. Because they're about 60 each, right? Oh, 62. So tend to be like 42, 44, or whatever when we get to the math of it. But like, that was funny. Anyways, yeah, like I'm definitely gonna build that list, but like that's where I'm like, what are we talking about, right? Like that's when I want things to get up in points, right? Where it's like, Gilliman being 355, if he goes up more, I don't want it. You need 40 bodies, or do you need 40 more swords? I would need about 4, because there's 10 in each box, right? I would probably need like 40 bodies because I have 2 10-mans right now that I can do of infractors, and then I think I have 2 10-mans of tormentors. Then I would need to paint them up because I was thinking about doing the smaller bodies, but my problem is I really like, because my problem is I really like the EC design 40k infractors, and as much as I would want to do the little guys, right? The little MK4 heresy guys. I'm a sucker for aesthetics. I'm a sucker for those EC 40k aesthetics. So the funny thing is it actually would probably be a good thing for me anyways to buy all those boxes at some point. Specifically because I will probably end up playing 40k EC Marines in Heresy because they just look so much cooler than the other ones. That's my problem. I appreciate. I know your generosity is coming. I know your generosity is coming. Yeah, I do like painting them. I think to me, I just like the trim. I'm a weirdo who likes trim. I'll try it. I have a couple of guys that I could paint up. Maybe I can add some more designs to them and stuff. I'll try it. I'm sure Emma would be happier with that than me buying 240 more Marines. But you know what? She's not here right now, so she doesn't have to know. I'm just kidding. No, she's in the chat. She absolutely already knows. I absolutely know that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Also, she'd murder me if I tried to do that. She would absolutely murder me. Yeah, she heard that. But no, it's gonna be super fun. That's where it's like, that's to me to kind of wrap that all up in a nice little solid bow. Like that's where I feel like the failings of 40K is happening right now. It's not really happening in the game too much because we're honestly figuring that out where we're like, hey, this is what it says for the hidden rule. Here's their interpretation. This is what. Yeah, the problem is that I'm not good at freehand, and I think if I was better at freehand, I think I would probably enjoy them more. So maybe it'd be good practice for freehand. I need to get some more practice. You know, what we can do for right now is I can show off what I'm painting right now as well, because I've added something else to my list for some fun stuff. But I think we'll see if the light. Maybe I can just actually, you know what? I'll do light this way, and then we'll do this part of the segment of the show where I show off what I'm working on, and you can see the shelf so much better, right? All my beautiful. Oh yeah, here's mine. Night Lord Captain Daniel. This is some of my best lightning, I will say, is on his little jetpack. The parts where you cannot see. Here's my little Night Lords guy for that. Thank you. Haven't been painting him up recently, but and then this is the Lord that I'm working on for the narrative campaign. This is a little like preview of him. So I need to go back on some of the purple parts and add some more of that hot pink. But where the red is, right, I'm going to do flesh on top of that because I'm the big flesh guy like that. I like that. And then the whip is red right now because I'm going to do a bone dry brush over it. And the bone, it's going to be, I want like the whip to seem like a vertebrae, like he's taken a vertebrae from somebody. The actual CSM is brutal to do with lightning since you have, yeah. CSM is hard to do that lightning on. I love this galaxy cape that I did. I'm so proud of him. I was like, do I have where's my Venom? Yeah. Because one of the first, I'm reworking this, but this was one of the first models I painted coming back into the hobby after getting into it. This was my Lord Discordant. And like, yeah, the lightning panels aren't bad for what it was. But oh my God, it took me so long to figure out how I wanted to do it. And in all honesty, my problem is that, yeah, the 30K bodies are so much easier for the lightning. It's so much better. And I found out that I guess that in all honesty, they don't have lightning all over their armor. It's actually like not as much, right? It's very like infrequent. So that's one where I'm like, oh, I put too much lightning. Because I guess it's supposed to be that weird thing of where it's like it draws your eye to those specific panels. But I'm not good at that. I'm still learning that. And then one thing I was working on yesterday is I am working on my Land Raider. I was working on my Land Raider. Oh, and I'm working on my Defiler base, and I'll show that off too. So, because I'm actually thinking about adding a Land Raider into the list for some dedicated las cannons, since the las cannons are getting more expensive. But I recently was working on the front end of this. So these tracks have the gold tracks and the eagle. Same with this, the little Slanesh symbol, and I'm still working on this one. Right. And these are all non-metal metallic, which is crazy because they're shining really good. I need to add more shine onto this side. But then they've got blue headlights. So I'm doing blue for like all of those. I'm going to do a little bit more white for that. And then I might change the Havoc launcher on top to be another color. But then we've got a little general in there. Look at the guy. He's telling him to go forward. But I love this Land Raider. And if they do make a new Land Raider, it better do this. I need to spray the inside. I know, I forgot. But by the way, oh, you can see it actually. So I used a lot of the Emperor's Children symbols. So like you've got this Slanesh symbol on the back. But one of the little details that I'm going to eventually paint, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. So if you see right in the back there, that's actually the engine for the Land Raider, right? Like that's the Land Raider engine. It's funny that technically you look at it and it's a 4-cylinder, which is nuts. It's only 4. which actually reflects some of the World War I tanks. And so right there, you'll see kind of a little stick figure looking thing right in the middle of that like block. Trying to see if you can get it with the light. You see it? So I put a little Slanesh symbol on the engine part back when I made this a year or so ago. And I put it on. I need to do more on the black because the black is kind of eh. But I put a little thing on the engine. So instead of a purity seal like they normally get, he got a Slanesh purity seal to make sure that, oh, kitty, I'm so sorry. You okay? I accidentally stepped on the kitty. He's okay. He didn't yell. That's probably a good time to end it anyways. Oh, sorry. You saw my mess that I'm working on. My sprues and everything. But that's what I'm working on currently. Oh, and then I'll show off the Mauler feed. Send the picture in the Discord. Let me pull it up. Oh, yeah. Some of the old John Blanche notebooks. Let me open this. Because this way I could actually share it and it won't share the Discord. Yeah. This John Blanche art is just so cool. It's always been so cool. Oh, I wish I could zoom in more, but yeah, this is the way that I like the lightning, right? Where it's like on the shoulder plate, it does a really good job. And then, oh, I left this blood on their like boots too. That's really cool. I wish I could zoom in on this one. Is there a zoom over here? There we go. Yep. Bam. So yeah, it's kind of a little blurry, but yeah, the full lightning. I love the red, right? I'm actually a big fan of the red gauntlet style stuff. So those are cool. That's what this is kind of how I did more of my kill team, because I did a kill team of what's it called? Lords. So like this guy's super fun. Let's see if we can actually focus in on him. Come on, focus. So we've got this dude who's my poison dude. He's got his skin, and everywhere there's white, I'm planning on hitting it with like a red lighting to make it look like they're in a spaceship, right? Because I love the whole like predators of the spaceways. But so like my foreshadower guy has the red gauntlets, the psychic prescience guy. And I also will be completely real. I know with some of the new sculpts and some of the new designs, they decided to go for like an almost pale copper for not only their trim, but also their like wings and stuff, which is honestly funny enough, looking back, it's actually more reflective of the John Blanche art that we see here that Seda just provided for us. More accurate to that one. But I do love the blood red like wings on the top of the head. Like I could take or leave the copper trim, but the wings, I just love the wings like up there. The red trim, I think it's I feel like I remember red trim being a thing for Night Lords. Like a specific company had it. Red hair markings. I feel like there was something specific. I just can't think of it. Here are some red trim Night Lords. Because I've seen this is kind of what like your intention, like this is what you're gonna end up doing. Is this like red trim? And I like that. I like that on the face too. I think the face, it makes the face pop a lot. Like here, like this is a more new scheme. I like that they did the more pungent red there, but like that part, I do like it being red. Personally, that's just a personal thing. Probably in an old Hammer battle report. That does make sense because I think a lot of the 2005 to 2008 guys were doing that. End up doing like for mine. I like this kind of copper, but I like the red wings personally. Now I just have to buy more. So cool. That's one of the old heads, it looks like. Which I actually have some of the old metal ones from the made to order set recently from the Emperor's Shoulder one. And I'm thinking about actually using some of those. That's cool. Somebody using 8-bound to make like a leader character for that. You might want to try doing that and get some 8-bound for that. That would actually look really good. Oh, but speaking of things that look really good, I have one other thing I want to show y'all that I'm working on, and I need to work on the character that is being attached to this project. So I'm planning on, because I have my purple defiler and I have a pink defiler. So I've got 2 of the new defilers, and I had an old defiler. Yeah, you've got plenty of Austrians, plenty of those guys. So I have a second defiler for my 2 that I had because I played with 2 at the Open. And this is Mr. Pink, right? He's got speckles on his black pauldrons, right? And his black pink trim. He's gonna have a more pale skin. But I had a Noise Marine. Ooh, 8-bound into Captain Sevatar would be really cool. And I think you get some spear handles with that too. But I had a Noise Marine that was riding on top of a Dreadnought like, or not Dreadnought, Defiler like Eddie Gonz's art. And I said, well, if I've got it, I can't find my other extra Space Marine or Noise Marine that I bought. So I decided to put him as the performer hanging out with the Defiler. So I'm going to do more paint to make him kind of more into my color scheme because I haven't painted on him in a while. But I was like, oh, that's so cool. So now you've got your Defiler, and then you've got some dude who's just playing the right. I was thinking about that. I'll find the song at some point and play it. Maybe use it as a speaker. But I was like, oh, right in front of like the thing that I could do is that I put the flamethrower that I'm gonna try and play with right there. So he's like lets out a sick lick right on his guitar, and then the Defiler knows that's the cue to flamethrower somebody for Overwatch. So thank you. I appreciate that. I was like, I have him on this Defiler, and I'm not pulling out this old Defiler anytime soon. But I've got to use these Noise Marines because I have 3 of them. And I can't find the one that's not opened yet. And 2 of them are painted. So I might need to get this guy rebased for a Lord Cacophonist or something. This was my first Noise Marine that I ever painted. He's pretty good. I'm not too upset with him. I'm actually very pleased with the zebra stripes that he got. What's on that side of his eyeball? Oh, it was supposed to be the pink. It was supposed to be pink lights for his eyes. That's what it was. He'd be a great Lord. I have some extra Cacophonous points. And you see, there's me wanting to play Night Lords, right? Adding some lightning bolts to him. Because that was actually a pretty funny one. I was also like, I'm kind of surprised that like EC doesn't have any lightning bolts. I might want to redo the guitar again, specifically because the guitar has changed a lot, unfortunately. So I might try it on this one. Because originally, one of my favorite guitars in like music history is the Led Zeppelin one. If you've never seen it, it's Jimmy Page's Telecaster. I'll actually pull that up. It is baller, and at some point, they're still selling it. They actually made a Telecaster that you can buy. And at some point in my life, I will buy this Telecaster. It's like $2,000. So it's like, no, I don't need a $2,000 Telecaster. I'm soon. I'm not playing shows. But I wanted to try and replicate this guitar for his guitar. Because if you look at the actual design of this guitar, it almost kind of looks like the dragon is like the pick guard, right? You can't really see it because all the colors are blended in. But it's let me actually just pull up the Noise Marine model. That'll actually be easier to show off because he's, oh, I now figured out what I'm going to be doing with that. Yep. Yep. Guitar Lord. Guitar Lord. Oh, that's... I'm like trying to think now about how I would do this guy now. Because the nice thing is that his arm is sticky tacked with the spear. I don't think anybody at a narrative would be too upset if that spear was a axe. And by axe, I mean guitar, literally. Oh, boys, we be cooking. Oh, actually, that's going to be so sick. Oh, my God. See, this is why I like having you guys on the stream, is because you guys are a good source of ideas and inspiration. You're all so smart. And then this is from one of the vampire lords from the Soulblight Grave Lords. And then my plan is for this guy is I'm going to take this little demon part, right? I'm going to clip probably like a little bit below there. But then so she's going to be like hiding. And I might change the dagger to a demonette claw, but I also kind of like the dagger as like the stabbing avatar of Slanesh. But now I think I might have to give my lord the Noise Marine Mohawk and the guitar. I think that's got to be the coolest thing. That's so sick. That's so cool. Also, by the way, this is canon. Miku is a Noise Marine. What y'all say? Miku is a Noise Marine. She's ours. She's a part of our army now, and there's nothing you can say about it. Look at her. This is actually just so fun. Look at the leak. Look at the leak guitar. God, I could look at Noise Marines all day. All day. Noise Marines are so cool. I wish we had gotten some more instruments and stuff. That's a way better version of mine. Oh, yeah. So that's a little working on corner. At some point, if you guys want to post your own, did you say she's the leak guitarist? He's the leak guitarist? Yeah, I like that. Okay, I see. I was like, what leaked? And I was like, oh, clever. That's so funny. Well, that's going to be the end of the artist corner as well here. And I think I'm probably going to wrap this up here pretty soon. Is there anything else you guys want to go over for Friday for the new stuff from the update at all? Ooh, yeah, I definitely want to see those. So on every Friday, I want to do basically the artist corner, right? Where I want to show off my miniatures. I want to show off your miniatures. So if you guys want to show off any miniatures, send them to me on Discord at Tofu Time if you've already got my Discord, but also at Instagram at work-in-progress_painting. Feel free. They did kill Murdering by removing Purge. Reconnaissance was weird for that one. But like if you do want to submit anything, you can reach me on work-in-progress_painting. I am going to do a Discord. I think I'm going to work on that today because I talked about that last weekend, but I had a tournament, so I was busy, and then I got tired, I got sleepy, so I didn't finish it. But I'm gonna make one. I just need to determine how I want to do it. So we're gonna make a Discord server at some point, and probably today, so that you guys can post your stuff, and then I can put them on the stream as well. And so we can talk about your minis and show off your minis and show off everything. Because I know I get excited whenever I get to show off my minis on camera. And so whoever wants to put their minis in, feel free. I'll pick a couple and we'll talk about them. Maybe we'll even have my professional painting advice. You guys are probably way better painters than I am. I use airbrush a lot to cheat. Gonna be leaning into Fabulous Bill since they're gonna be writing some more of those Corsair squads. Fabulous Bill's a good one. Let's take a look at that real quick before we end up, and then this will be the last thing that we do. is take a look at the CSM Meteorium and then kind of talk about what a Fabius Bile list could kind of look like. I'm just running out of things to think about. Chaos Space Marine. So the nice thing is, the unfortunate thing is your chosen went up 10, 20 points. I'm gonna be real. I'm very surprised that this didn't happen earlier in 10th edition because, yeah, these things are crazy. Your Terminators went down, which is nice. Your Chaos Lord went down, which is nice. Mutilators went down. So I think, like, I'm gonna be real. I would think about putting some Mutilators in that Fabius Bile list for some deep strike melee. That way you can, because the Red Corsairs are still decently expensive, especially for the big squads. But with that infiltrate, right, you can easily infiltrate something, keep the add +1 to strength, and then yeah. That's what I usually do, is the Master of Executions and build to a chosen block. I also recommend, if you are gonna do that, I recommend taking the prime test subject on the MOE as well, because that'll add 1 to his attacks. I believe it's add 1 to his attacks, but I know it's for sure add 1 to his damage. So it'll make it so that you and Fabius Bile and your Master of Executions will be hitting with damage 3, which is really, really nice, because Fabius Bile is actually really heavy hitting. Like, he just hits on a 3. His damage is a 3 up for his torment. Like, it's a 3 damage for his torment. It's really good. I personally recommend, out of those, if you are looking to do those detachments, I recommend finding a way to get prime test subject in there for 35. And then I would spend on living carapace, and then I wouldn't spend on anything else. So 50 points on enhancements. And I would put that one. Where is he? Chaos Lord go up at all? I would get some Terminators, since they're going down a little bit for that, and I would put it on a Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. Because the Chaos Lord and Terminator armor, his rule, right, is that whenever he takes damage, it's half the damage no matter what. So it helps you against precision based off that. But also then, if he does take any damage, which he should survive until the end of the game, basically, the therapist gives him a feel no pain, I think, of 5 up. I think it's a 5 no pain. Pretty sure. I can look that up, though, real quick to see, though. So I also have a Fabius Bile list where I do exactly that. Maybe not even doing the 10-man brick if you don't want to do all that, but I do recommend taking the living carapace for a lord, specifically because that feel no pain, it basically makes him, but you add 1 to the wounds, and then the bear has a feel no pain 5 up. I recommend that for the Chaos Lord, because then he turns into the Gravis Captain, and you're like, he's going to survive no matter what. I will say, though, I think try and things that aren't Purge the Foe, though, is interesting. Purge the Foe is kind of hard. Yeah, isn't that brutal? Yeah, the +1 to wound, because I think he has either 5 or 6 wounds base. It would go to 6 or 7. And then he's got to feel no pain, 5 up, half the damage every time. And then you put him in a bunch of Terminator. Like, I put him in a brick of 10, and I go, whatever you do, this will show up at some point, right? Whether it's, you're probably not going to get them in your deployment zone, but you do get them to basically deep strike block, right? Where I would have to go, I'm not letting 10 Terminators show up in my deep strike with it. Well, I would just abandon my home, right? Because I don't need my home. But I always play moving forward. But yeah, it's pretty strong. It's pretty brutal. So I'm glad we were able to go over that a little bit, since these point costs are making that easy. I only have 5 termies, a small brick to cause them to screen out more. Yeah. And in all honesty, you can honestly use that Chaos Sword to attach them in and get more of that, because then you can use Rapid Ingress for free. And that's the reason I say doing it on the Lord, right, versus the Sorcerer, because the Sorcerer is better at punching, but the Lord is one, you can only do it on the Lord, so that probably helps. But the other thing is that on something that you want to be using like Rapid Ingress multiple times and things like that on it, then you can just do it for free and somebody else can still do it. So you could potentially Rapid Ingress like 2 units in, and I go, Great. Terminators and tough stuff that I don't do well against. But hey, you'll at least give my Mauler Fiend something to punch, right? I'll let you do that. I'll just melt you. I'll just shoot you with the magma. Got the magma cutters. So yeah, I'm very excited. Let's work on. I'm gonna work on a Fabius bio list for you for Monday. We can go over that on Meta Monday or List Building Monday or whatever we call it, or whatever stupid thing we call it. But yeah, I'm going to sign off for the day. I've got to get some editing done and some other stuff done, and also get some stuff set up for this weekend so I can get you all a new Mauler Fiend video. And work on some other stuff. I'm going to be working on this Emperor's Children Codex thing until our new codex comes out. So I'm going to try and shake it up next week by adding some lessons on cover, some lessons on the core rules and things like that, to kind of determine like where things need to be addressed, and some good resources that if you are playing a game, you can pull up my resource very fast or very easy compared to like having to pull up multiple things. And that way I can just try and have all that stuff ready for you guys so that when you're playing games, you don't have to look around for all these resources, because don't worry, I've already been doing it. It's a pain in the freaking butt. It's a pain in the butt, but we're figuring it out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on another Friday. We're going to go live again on Monday. And if these keep going well, and if I can figure out the schedule for them, I might be able to add another one on Wednesday. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for watching again. I hope you guys enjoy your lunch, and I hope I enjoy my lunch as well. Until next time, we will see you on the battlefield.